Hey guys, today's video I think you will find it very interesting. I'll be sharing some very nice tips and tricks that might really surprise you. So let's get started right away. So Knox has a very interesting trick that I think many of you guys probably didn't know about. I personally discovered this trick while I was testing what build will be the best for her. Do you know that Knox does a basic attack every time she uses her second skill? But it only works if you stop moving your left analog, because if you try to walk while using her second skill, she won't do a basic attack. So you have to stay still for this to work. Now, if you build her Calamity Reaper, you will see that she will proc her true damage very often, so you can deal an insane amount of damage in a short period of time if you stay still. And remember, true damage is also considered skill, so if you have Spell Vamp item, you will get health back from the spell and her true damage basic attack. There's another Knox trick that you're probably more familiar with. When you're in light form and switch to dark form, if you click the light ultimate fast enough before you switch to the dark form, you'll be able to use her dark ultimate while the light ultimate is still in effect. This is a great trick to either escape or deal maximum damage, so it's highly recommended to master this trick if you're planning to use Knox in the future. As you know, each time the turret hits you, the damage you will receive will increase by a lot. But do you know that when Natalia is under her smoke, the turret damage won't increase at all? It will stay the same until she is out of the smoke. This is incredible for turret diving, so now you don't really have to hesitate too much when the enemies are under the protection of the turret and just go for the kill. They might think they're safe under a turret, but not anymore now that you know about this information. By the way, the same thing applies to Karina's first skill. The damage of the turret will increase as long as the effect of her first skill is activated. So 1-1 dash every time she does a basic attack. This allows her to chase her target, escape from danger, and even make the enemies have a harder time to aim their skills. But do you know that when 1-1 has her full attack speed items, she can dash faster than walking? Don't believe me? Here's an example. The first part is just her walking with the same items. Now let's try using basic attack to keep dashing. This is great if you want to go back to lane a lot faster when you just respawn or recall. But there are some conditions that have to be met in order to keep dashing like a maniac. There should be no targets nearby, such as the enemy minions, jungle, turrets, the lord, turtle, or else the system will force you to attack them. Also, you have to tap the basic attack first before moving the left analog. If you don't, she will just walk without attacking. Oh, by the way, a quick tip, her second skill can actually dash through thin walls, such as this one. Just wanted to leave it out there since I know that some very good 1-1 players don't even know about this. Lenzo just got revamped and now his passive works in a different way. Every time he uses his first skill, his damage will increase by 10% and it stacks 3 times. But now there's a weird bug going on, that when you use the spell Arrival, you will get 2 stacks of this passive right away. So if you see a marksman or a squishy hero farming a lane, you can use Arrival and be like surprise mod. Also when you step on Eye of Cyclone, it will give you 1 stack. The trick for Lancelot doesn't end here though. Do you know that you can use Flicker to extend the range of his ultimate? That's quite interesting. You might surprise the enemy when they least expect it. One of the best things about Chango is that her ultimate cooldown is quite short, so usually I use it to take the buff instantly. But if you want to be more efficient, you should take 2 jungle camps at the same time, like this. And in the enemy jungle. Gord's ultimate can do the same thing. There are 2 interesting tricks with Claude. One is good for efficiency and the other one is pretty obsolete. The first trick will allow you to stack your first skill faster. When you are taking the red buff, you can actually get stacked from the red buff and the small camp at the same time. This way you will get double stacks. I have seen some people doing it this way, but there's a better way to do it, which you can keep getting stacked from both camps. And well, here we have the other trick with Claude, which is pretty obsolete. You can recall back to base, and before your monkey's hologram disappear, you can go back to your second skill. You have to do it fast though, the window is very small. Anyway, I call this obsolete because it doesn't even heal you a tiny bit. If at least it has 0.5 seconds longer, then you can heal a tiny bit, but nothing, 0. Anyway, it's just kind of cool, if you just want to BM your opponents. There's a trick with Bruno that you can have 2 flame balls at the same time. I'm talking about his first skill. So normally it's 2 regular balls then a flame ball, but if you manage to time it perfectly, you can have 2 flame balls constantly, which means more damage. I think the trick is when the ball is at the highest position, you use the first skill. However, I don't know if they fix it because now it's a lot harder to time it perfectly than before. Maybe my timing is just bad, so let me know if you know the guaranteed trick for this one. As you know, Selina can have 2 traps at the same time on the map, and those traps give vision. So instead of planting them on a regular path, I would highly recommend you to put 1 trap inside the walls instead. This way, nobody can step on them, and you will have a permanent vision of that area, which is insanely good. So 1 trap for division and the other ones for killing. Minceter can flicker after he uses his first skill and will hook wherever he flickers. So use first skill, then flicker, and he will still connect. Very tricky to use though, you got to know the exact distance of the flicker. Unlike the hook from Franco, where you can hook first and if you miss you can just not flicker, but this one is all in. If you messed up, then rip 2 minutes of flicker's cooldown. Do you know that Lolita's shield can actually deny Grok's wall? Pretty interesting. If you have seen my old Harley's tutorial video, you probably know about this already. When you use the second skill and recall it, the cooldown will be longer. Grainne next to a wall can spam his ultimate if you move the left analog towards the direction of the wall. It only works on big walls though. If you do it towards thin walls, then he will just dash through them. Well, that's all for today's video. If you're entertained, don't forget to like and subscribe.